And we continue remembering the late Pope Francis. Let's now welcome Professor of History of Christianity at the University of KwaZulu-Natal, as well as a member of the Dominican Order of the Catholic Church, Professor Phillipe Denis, on the line. Professor, thank you so much. It's a great honor to have you with us. Welcome. So let's just briefly, for the benefit of our viewers and as a way to pay remembrance as well as respect to Pope Francis, take us through some of your fondest memories of his reign and things that really stood out for you in terms of how he actually evolved the Catholic religious beliefs.
Under his pontificate.
Go ahead.
You asked me how the Catholic Church evolved under his pontificate.
Yes.
Right. As you know, Pope Francis has been a pope of 12 years. He succeeded Benedict XVI, who was before known as Cardinal Ratzinger, and John Paul II. And it's certainly a major change in the style of leadership and also the way the Catholic faith was presented to the Church itself and to the world. So it seems to me that the first thing to say about Pope Francis is that he's given sort of a sense of feeling at home to many members of the Church, including myself, by his simple approach, his great sense of proximity to the poor, but basically a style which means that it was, if I may say, not in an outside world, but somebody like everybody.
Absolutely.
So that's probably why so many people came to Rome. I saw on one of the newspapers I'm reading regularly that there are 400,000 people, including more than 50 church leaders. It struck people. But also, I think I use this word with hesitation, but there was something prophetic about his leadership. Prophetic in the sense that he was against the stream. He was announcing the word of God in a way that went beyond what other people would have done. And I take two examples on the environment. He had, for the first time ever, a clear message about the environment in Laudato Si. And many people, even non-Catholics, non-Christians, heard him about that. And then, of course, on migrants. He went against the stream. There's a tendency to xenophobia and building walls and rejecting the migrants all over the world. It took exactly the opposite direction. So there was something striking in him. Whether people liked him or not, they could not be indifferent. So I personally, as a Christian myself, as a believer myself, I was touched. I was touched because it's a sort of thing in a way I always wanted to hear since the time of Vatican II, when I was a child myself.
Absolutely. I mean, he was also no stranger to some criticism for his many futuristic and realistic beliefs in keeping up to date with global matters, as you've just rightly pointed out, Professor. I mean, yet he never wavered from these, even under strict public scrutiny. The loss of such a global leader, especially in this day and age, could basically spell the end of an era sometimes, in that we could never be blessed with a person of similar stature. So we have to revel in his uniqueness.
Yes. I'm not sure I understood your question. Hello?
Yes. Can you hear me, Professor?
Yes, I'm not sure I heard your question.
Yes, I think we're losing each other there. I'm also not hearing you clearly, but I was saying that the Pope was no stranger to some criticism for those many futuristic as well as realistic beliefs that he had, and he never wavered from these, even under public scrutiny. I mean, the loss of such a global leader, then, especially in this day and age, could basically spell an end of an era, sometimes in that we could never be blessed with a person of similar stature. So we really have to revel in his uniqueness.
Yes, let me put it like this. There's no doubt that somebody who tries to bring what I call a prophetic message would face opposition. He faces opposition internally and externally. Inside the church, it's true, there's a certain number of bishops, even cardinals, in fact, not so many, but they are very vocal and they are politically connected, especially in the US, were dead against him. You need to understand that he tried to reform the Curia. The Curia is the government of the Catholic Church in Rome, and there were problems, even corruption, and even some attitudes which are unacceptable. His predecessor, Benedict XVI, tried to reform, but he was not successful. And Pope Francis III started to reform the Curia. It's not finished. This is unfinished business. So inevitably, there were people against that. Secondly, on the issue of being open to people from other cultures, other races, migrants, etc., it is political. In Italy, there's a right-wing government in Italy at the moment. In the US, with President Trump, we have one of the most conservative and right-wing parties ever in American history. There's no doubt that would create controversy. In my sense, that Pope Francis, he had a very strong character. In fact, until literally his last day, very, very sick, he came out at the balcony at St. Peter just because he wanted to do so. This being said, I would not personally hide the fact that he had also weaknesses. On the issue of gender, for example, in women, he moved forward, but there was some hesitation. On the issue of the sexual abuse of priests, some people rightly said it didn't tackle the problem fully, etc. So some of the criticism, in my opinion, makes sense, and in fact, it's normal. I mean, the Pope himself was a humble man. He knew he was only a simple human person. But what I can say is that he had quite a strong character. He had a vision for himself, for his position, and for the church. And he wanted a new style, more at the doctrinal level, that he did some changes doctrinally, but it's more in terms of the tone of his way of speaking, his way of being, he made a huge difference, in my opinion.
Thank you so much, Professor. Unfortunately, your line is not very clear there, but we do apologize. And thank you so much, of course, for your input on this very important topic there. That is Professor of History of Christianity at the School of Religion at UKZN, Professor Phillipe Denis.